Hello, it is the Club Call, Everton Club Call. Give us a call. If you're over on Toffee TV Premier, the link is there. Give us a call. Get involved. The earlier you do it. Who are going to be the trendsetters this week? Who's going to be the pace setters? Who's going to be people who get on the phone? I'm looking at you, Astro, to get us going. I'm looking at you, Derek. I'm looking at John.
I'll tell you who I'm looking at. Michael Beetham.
Michael Beetham.
That's who I'm looking at.
AKA 10th Pint Podcast Extraordinaire.
Well, he's number one in the comments.
Is he? The guy.
That's who I'm looking at.
I think so.
I'm still waiting for him to walk through the door.
Well, we bought a new couch.
He's been invited for some reason.
Busy lad. Busy lad.
Well,
got lots of people to interview.
Lots of pints to drink. And lots of people to interview.
I'd like to ask you where you got that name of the podcast, because 10 Pint Podcast, that's the things I'd be talking about after 10 pints would not be the same thing you're talking about.
We can guarantee you that. We were talking about mad things with Ned last night. None of us had that pints. There you
Black
go.
Until Lemonade.
Ned was on the wheel, the analogy wheel, and he couldn't get off it, could he?
He couldn't get off the analogy wheel.
He could not get off the analogy wheel. And he struggled to get his words out at one time, but there you go. So, Michael, that's on you. Yeah,
it does feel like it's on you. So there you go. There you go. See,
ask and it shall be given.
I mean, people.
Mathew 8.1.
Peer pressure has a bad rap, but sometimes it's
it's
right. Let's get Astro and let's get straight into it. You sound checking them.
I'd have probably gone Michael first, because Astro is a thing of beauty.
I know, but he's calling for it. It's early
so
in
Astro
the day.
Bailed.
I can hear like almost like a rocking chair creak.
Do you think he's just sat on the porch in Georgia, just chewing some straw,
chewing the fat,
just there ready to go?
So who've we got, Ned?
We've got Michael just while we saw Astro.
Yeah, well,
I mean, don't make Michael.
We've got Michael. I wanted to speak to Michael. That's why I put the SOS call out.
Go on then.
Go on then. Let's go. It's Michael.
Michael, are you there?
Hello, are you okay?
There he is.
Michael, he's here.
10th Pint
the dulcet
Podcast
tones of
Extraordinaire.
Michael. Yeah, he is.
Do you know when you went on the podcast and he was leading you down that dark sort of?
I was a bit worried.
A bit worried that
he left me outside for about half an hour. It was raining, but to be fair, the lads turned up drenched. They were absolutely drenched. Then we got let in for some reason. There was a random American fella leading me down a dark corridor. And then the Queen died. So it was very eventful. And the Queen was announced dead while we were there. So it was a very eventful
night. Was that mentioned on the podcast?
No, because it was when we'd finished at the official. And we spoke about it before, that it was imminent. But,
well, we start with a Queen, finish with a King.
There you go.
There you go. That shows you what happens at the 10 Pint Podcast.
There you go. Go on, mate. What? Go on. What have you got to say?
I was just wondering what your thoughts on what you think success is.
That was a bit. Was that a bit broken up for you?
Just
there?
a touch.
Go on, say that again, because you broke
Sorry,
up.
mate, you just
went
broke
on Norman.
What are your thoughts on? Go ahead, mate.
What are your thoughts on what success would be for Everton this season?
What would success look like for Everton this season?
Okay.
I got just about got
that.
We've
got
just
that.
Got that. He's obviously calling in from the moon.
On a shoe.
What would success look like? I think success would look like April putting our feet up. Do you know what I mean? April just putting your feet up, going season sorted, lads. No worries. That would be success. But for me, I think getting to a situation where we are. It's funny because we've just been talking about Marco Silva. Funny enough, I'm doing the match preview. I'm saying about the first season towards the end and how good the home performances were. I know the away performances were diabolical, but the home performances
very strong,
set us up really well, and obviously
didn't let a goal in from February.
Yeah, beating Manchester United 4-0 and performances like that. Yeah. You could see where we should have been heading to, and I think something like that, where we're winning home games. All right, I'm not going to go overboard and say we're winning them like we did on Saturday, but we're winning home games. We've got good form at home. Away, maybe we're starting to build something. And I'm not saying that finishing the top half or just towards the end of the season, just having a clear direction, having consistent performances, and thinking, next season with the right additions, this could be really exciting in terms of. Then maybe looking towards Europe or looking at the top half or whatever. And that to me is success, I think. And maybe identifying having the real idea of towards the end of the season of where we need to strengthen next season, and whether that be another an exciting winger or another left back or whatever, just so that you go, do you know what, we get him and him, we could be really good next season, or we could be moving in the right direction. So that, to me, I think is success without actually winning anything.
Yeah, I don't know whether I'd call it success, but no, what I would class as a decent season for Everton would be no drama whatsoever, Michael. So March, we know that it's done and dusted. Obvious success to me would be somehow fighting, being in with a chance of getting in the Conference League. That would be success. But I'm not saying that Everton would be there. But what I'm saying is, if we've got no drama come March and we can all breathe and know that we're fine, then I think that'd be it. And like Ped said, then being able to identify what the next step is for the team, really. What about you?
Yeah, I'd say just no stress. Like last season was all the way towards the end. Sleepless nights and that, but just play a sort of style of play, and as Ted said, strong home form, good. Yeah,
definitely.
Maybe finish on like 50 plus points. That'll be good. Maybe finish above 12.
Yeah,
12. Yeah, that'd be. I mean, I can't believe we're saying that, but you'd have to realign your goals, don't you?
Yeah, you'd have to, and I think again, it's that thing of like not getting too far ahead of ourselves. Yeah. I think it's funny because I noticed in the comments after the weekend's game, some people giving me a little bit of stick, which is fine. I don't mind, about saying that I'd said that some people's expectations had been a little bit high this season, or what I've noticed, and I stand by that. I'd seen people after the run of games, the little unbeaten run, being a little bit cocky about certain things, and I just think, not saying you want to not win. To lose, you don't want to lose 3 games in a row to almost realign those. But the simple fact is, last season we were terrible, and we didn't really replace the player we sold. We've made the squad much better, and and it's going to take time. And now we've got Don back, but I still think, again, it's that thing of like saying, games like Crystal Palace aren't going to be every week. The games are probably going to be a lot tighter. Not to say we can't win them, and I think the next 3 games are a testament to that. I think we've got 3 games now that we can win, but are going to be close games. The games that we could win and possibly lose. So for me, it's a case of just keeping all ourselves in check, remembering that where we were last season, and think, right, we can be good. We can definitely be good. But let's just keep our expectations in check about the team and about the players.
Yeah.
Yeah, also, just on Anthony Gordon, obviously another goal at the weekend. But if he could finish this season on double figures, how much do you think that would increase valuation in the transfer market?
How much would increase his valuation? It's difficult, isn't it? Because obviously there was big numbers spoke about in the summer, and that might have been a bit out of desperation for Chelsea, what they needed and what they wanted. But if you've got a lad who's, on Saturday showed what his ability is in terms of when he just gets back to what he was doing really well last season, which was working really hard and simplifying his game. He's a handful, Anthony Gordon. He really is. He's got himself. I loved Saturday's goal. Not just the fact that it was a fantastic team goal, but the fact that he was on hand to have a tap in from 2 yards out. I love that. That shows a real desire to follow the play and get in and score goals. And I think if he he's got 3 already. We're on what? We're on game 12, is it? So, if he could get 9-10 goals this season, Michael, then that's a fantastic thing, and it's a great thing for him. I think it's a great thing for Everton. And if someone does call him next summer with 50 odd million, Everton, and he might say, depending on where he is and where we are, I fancy something a little bit different. Everton can get a good fee for him, but the lad might be happy and want to stay and want to carry on doing what he's doing.
If he finishes the season in double figures, or say like around 9, then he's definitely had a good season, hasn't he? He's definitely, I mean, let's hope that happens. He's definitely had a good season, and it doesn't matter. I mean, obviously performances have got to go up. We know that.
But he did that Saturday, to be fair.
No, he's much better Saturday, and he's got his goal, and he was in the right place, and something criticise. No, I mean criticise, but we said what he could improve on early on the season is being at the back post, getting a tap in, because he could have 6 or 7 goals now if he'd been at the back post for cross shots and stuff. He should be at the back post getting tap-ins, for me anyway.
And he was for Raheem Sterling.
Yeah, and he was for this one. You've got to anticipate, and maybe that's just he wasn't anticipating shooting or whatever, but you've got to have that in. You've got to be at the back post for me as a winger. If someone's coming on the other side, and I think he'd have a few more goals. So, and if he did get double figures, then of course people would look at him. 100% would be looking at him, because it's not. Goals are the commodity, and if you can get a winger who can get double figures at his age, then people go, we can work with that. That's something we can definitely work on. So yeah, we would. But I mean, again, Everton are trying to get him to a contract, and we don't know what the situation is at the moment. But hopefully, we can get him tied to a contract, and then if people come in for him, then we've got a much stronger hand as well. But it's funny, isn't it? It's one game. Last week we were, everyone was like, well, get rid of him, why did we sell him? And now you're thinking, no, let's get him tied down and see what happens. So
we know that on his day, he's a good player. He's a young lad. He's going to have peaks and troughs. We know that. I just want him to simplify his game, because I think when he simplifies his game, he's so much better and so much more dangerous for us. When he keeps turning back, it's so frustrating. But when he's just more direct, like he was at the weekend, people have got a real problem with him, because he can run. And he's quick, and he can put a good ball in. So I just hope he carries on in that vein, because if he does, then he'll do better. Everton will benefit, and so will he.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think the Chelsea move not happening for the career was definitely the best thing.
Yeah, he wouldn't play. If he'd gone to Chelsea, he just wouldn't be playing. It's as simple as that. If he'd gone to Chelsea, he'd be sitting on the bench.
The odd minutes, wouldn't he?
He'd be sitting on the bench, and I know they've got a lot of games, but he'd be sitting on the bench. And of course, the manager also got the sack. I know he wouldn't have signed him, but would have been a different manager in now. And I don't think that was the right move for him as such. Even if we as fans might have looked at it and gone, God, if we could have got 45 million for him as a player, I genuinely don't believe that move would have been the best thing for his career. Taking Everton out of it. Anyway, or our loyalty to Everton. I just don't think for him it would have been the right move for him. And I do think this goes back to Richarlison in the summer, isn't it? People go, why did he move to Tottenham? Blah blah blah. For him, that was the right move. And I think you can, as a football fan, I think you can see that. You understand.
Yeah.
We look at it and go. We'd look at someone like Nathan Patterson and go, him moving to Everton was a good move for him. It was the next step up, and as a football fan, you'd look on the outside and go, that's a great opportunity. And I think someone like Richarlison, he's the right age to go to Tottenham, whether people think Tottenham are bigger than Everton. It doesn't matter. They're in the Champions League, and it's, he wants to be playing at that level. But I do believe Anthony Gordon moving to Chelsea at this time would have been absolutely wrong for his career. So, and maybe something will happen in the future where it will be the right move for him. Of course, if he's doing well for Everton, we won't want that. But that's just the very nature of football, isn't it? If you're not doing too well, or you're not doing as well as other people, and your players are outdoing you, then they're always going to be tempted to move it, no matter what the level. Yeah. No matter.
It's up to you to catch up, isn't it?
Yeah, really. It is. It's up to the football team to say where it happened to Liverpool for years. Liverpool weren't big enough to keep older players, and then suddenly when Klopp came, they were like, if you want to win those trophies, stay here.
But they still did lose Coutinho in that time.
Well, they did, but that was sort of like the precursor, wasn't it? He was actually the final. If Barcelona, if they could go back in time and change a decision, it would be that. Because for the better of football, not only did they ruin Barcelona, but they aided Liverpool in winning trophies. So they've basically ruined football, Barcelona.
Yeah, fair
they've
play.
Ruined it for everybody.
Fair play.
Do you know what I mean? There you go. There you go, Mike.
How long does Gordon have on his contract?
Isn't it less than 2 years?
Is it 2 years? Yeah.
I think it's I might be wrong, Michael. I think it's less than 2 years, and that's why Everton have been keen to tie him down to another contract. I may be wrong on that, but I think it is. Yeah. But we'll see. Listen, he might turn around and sign a new deal in the next couple of weeks, mightn't he? If the football club are keen.
Contract runs till 2025.
Okay, so just less than 3 years, right? Fair play. So it's not desperate right now. 3 years, or just less than 3 years. But certainly in the next 12 months, it'll be the time where you want them to, you're wanting a commitment one way or the other, aren't you? Well, you've still got a couple of years left on that deal. So, and don't forget, if Everton were to sell him, it's pure profit as well, because obviously he's come through. So from an FFP perspective, it's a really good deal for Everton Football Club. But hopefully he'll sign a new deal and continue to improve, and then everyone. Well, we'll be happy as fans, won't we?
Yeah. He's on. Yeah.
Also, just another question.
Go on, mate.
With the World Cup coming up, we don't have that many players. I think that's going to benefit like loads compared to the side. What's your on that?
Yeah, obviously the World Cup. It probably will. I mean, let's see. So we've probably got Pickford going, Cody going, Onana going, and Adesina Gay. James Tarkowski, I don't think he'll get into the England team.
I think Dom might.
Okay.
If Dom's fit in the next 3 weeks, I think Dom's
fair play. Fair play.
Go.
So maybe Tarkowski and maybe Dom. Let's just say.
So say half a dozen at the max.
Yeah, at the max. So that's 6 weeks. Obviously, they go to Australia for a week. So that's sort of like 2 weeks. I think there'll be different periods of training. There'll be downtime as well. I've noticed Frank does like giving them a little bit of time off. I think he gives them time off after the week, because I think seeing pictures of Mason Holgate going to I think he went to Marbella, the posh one, sorry, not Benidorm. He went to Marbella, I think, for a couple of days, and I think Frank had a couple of days off, because I think he went to some awards ceremony with his missus on Monday night or something like that. So
I think they were back in on Tuesday. Got Monday off.
I think he does like giving them a couple of days off when they have wins and stuff. But I do think it's a good opportunity to get them on the training pitch and get a lot of shape work, a lot of ball work, working with people like James Garner, who obviously into the season a bit later, because it can be frantic once the season starts to actually get down to it. I think it's why Villa obviously wanted to get Emery in, so they can get him on the training pitch. And I think a lot of managers will be open for that time, because coaching is the name of the game, isn't it? It's what managers aspire to do. You know, some managers don't necessarily. That's not their thing. You know, people like Carlo and people like that who work on motivation, and the coaches doing the training. But you know, we'll hope probably to get our players. Get the injuries sorted, get players refreshed. There'll probably be maybe a couple of games behind closed doors as well against other teams. So, you know, they'll keep them ticking over, and I do think it's a good chance, but it's a good chance for everybody, isn't it? It gives teams like Forest an opportunity to get their squad settled down and get their shape sorted, and it'll give all the traditional, you know, teams that come up, teams who've got small squads, it'll give all of them an opportunity to get their players fit, refreshed for the second half of the season. And we don't normally have that, so it's going to make the second half of the season interesting, a lot more interesting than I think it normally is in terms of teams at the bottom. So, but I do think it's a benefit overall for us to have time for the manager to train with the players.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'd be a big boost if Calvert-Lewin does go with England, from a selfish point of view, for us.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one. I sometimes think, I know fans don't always want their players to go on internationals, but I always think the player does. And if you've got a happy player, then you've got a confident player, and you've got a player who's at it as well. And for Everton, I sometimes think if we're not winning trophies, which evidently we haven't, how do you keep a player happy? And if they're playing for their international team, I think that's one way they're happy. And I think that's what kept Richarlison happy for a while, was that he was playing for Brazil. And I think Everton realised that, and that's why he was allowed to go to the Copa America and the Olympics. You're keeping him happy because he's playing for his international team. And if you take that away from them, or you stop them or whatever, then they're going to start going, well, if I'm not playing for my international team, I need to either move teams for that reason or move teams to win trophies. So I think we have to be careful sometimes what we wish for in terms of our players who play for England and stuff. So it's good that we haven't got loads. And you'll probably find actually that most teams in the Premier League haven't got loads and loads and loads going in the World Cup. There'll only be a handful who've got loads going. So, because I know Liverpool haven't got loads. They haven't, like Salah's not going. Mane's left, so he's for them that doesn't make a difference. There's not loads of their players going either, so you'd be surprised. You know, Haaland isn't going for City, So it will be a good opportunity, I think, for players to get some rest and also get training as well.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Mike, cheers for calling anyway,
Top
mate.
man, Michael. Get in soon.
Oh, nice one.
All right, mate. Cheers, mate. See you later.
Mate. Take care. Ta-ra, mate.
Yeah.
Go, Mike from the 10 Pint podcast. If you've not checked it out, me and Baz have both been on it separately. So you've got 2 episodes to watch. And they've had loads of good guests. They had Michael Branch on recently.
Good. Had good ones.
Yeah. And they get loads of like players who you might go, who's this? But then they have really interesting stories about what happened to their careers and stuff. So good on them. Check them out. Good lads. Both Evertonians.
Do it. Sophie says, "Hi lads, just a thought. But remember when we played with a pivot? We played well last time against Leeds. We beat them 3-0. Could be the way forward. And also thoughts on us getting a 5 in the FA. Yeah, listen, we battered Leeds last season in that game, didn't we? The manager couldn't always do it. I think the midfield's much more mobile and competitive this time around, and they tinkered with it at the weekend, didn't he? Pushed the Iwobi on, pushed the fullback, pushed Mikalenko higher up. It worked a treat. In terms of the getting a 5 from the FA, that stuff does get fines now, and I've seen a couple of people who are very precious about it, and I normally am with like things like that, but I think when there's a bit of a melee like that nowadays, you do get a slap on the wrist and a fine. So
I love it though. I love that though. It's like, if you're going to investigate it, you're going to investigate it properly and go, well, actually, we're going to charge you and you because you incited this.
Yeah, that's how it should
do you know
be
what I mean?
done.
It's
yeah,
like,
it's
like, well, no, it's Palace and it's Everton, so everyone's going to get a slap on the wrist. And it's like, well, hang on, that's not what happened, is it? That's definitely not what happened. And and also it's, what are you supposed to do in that situation? Are your players supposed to just walk away and not get involved while someone's just been elbowed in the face? Are you going to investigate the referee of why he lets Sahar off with elbowing one of our players in the head? You know, if you're going to investigate it. Properly, don't just mess about.
And then if you do it properly, then no one can really say anything, can he? You just got to get on with it, haven't you?
Yeah.
And go, well, you done this, you done that. Well, yeah, we did actually. Fair enough. And that's the way it is. Samuel says, evening lads, how are you both? I think we definitely need a right winger next window or next summer. Good turn of pace, eye for goal, and maybe someone who can put in a good dead ball, because we lack that. Harry Matson says, hi guys, hope you're all well. Is there any more news on the mid-season trip to Australia? No. I think from
what news
Everton,
are you after?
I think from Everton, what's going on with it and stuff. We've got Astro. So, James, one sec when we will go to Astro. James Bowers says it gets a 43 points and I don't care what else. Let's Lampard and Thelwell plan for next season with no worries. The Blues says you can have a good season without being successful. Success is winning for me, but we can't expect it. Well said, the Blues. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Right, we've got Astro.
Here we go. The
man is in the house.
Hey.
Astro.
Yep.
Let's go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
can hear you. Perfect.
Yeah, can you hear me? Good. No, I just wanted to say that I'm actually, I would like to announce that I am charging the FA and the PMGOL or PGMOL for not maintaining an appropriate standard of officiating across the entire Premier League.
There you go.
Has he gone?
Why are people calling up using shoes? Go on, we lost you there, mate. Go on.
You got me now?
Yeah, we lost you there.
Oh, no, I was just going to say I'm charging. Yeah, no, I'm just saying I'm charging the FA for a breach of maintaining an appropriate level of officiating, and that the People's Hype Champion will expect a response by the 1st of November on Tuesday. So that's what they've got, and then they'll find out what I got for them. So, if two can play this game, you know, if that official had maintained control of the match, then that situation never would have happened.
No.
And it's... Listen, and the whole thing, Anthony Gordon was onside. My cat saw that he was onside, right? So, I mean, like, everybody knew that he was onside. Yet they put the flag up and ruined the celebration. Like, there has to be an achievable level of quality in officiating that is attainable, and they just can't seem to get it right. They just can't seem to get it right, and it's shocking. It's absolutely shocking. But what can you do?
I agree with you, mate. It's he was all three. Right, said Fred were particularly poor on Saturday. They were really, really bad for both sides at times. Like some of the decisions were incredible, but sticking a flag up because you think someone's offside is not how you do that job. You do it because you think he is offside. Not like guessing. I mean, offside. Obviously you're thinking, of course, but guessing and going, he's offside because I've seen it. You can't just go, he's on his own with the goalie, I'll put the flag up, which is exactly what he did. I forgive any linesman if it's a crossover and it's, an inch or whatever you go, I'd still moan, of course I would. But I'd be a little bit more forgiving. But that Anthony Gordon one, I knew in my seat from the side of the pitch he was onside because I'd looked when Mykolenko shot. There was no Everton playing near it. So I knew he was onside. And yet, this fella's just decided to throw a flag up. And in throwing a flag, and people, listen, other people might be watching this, or other people might hear this conversation and say, what are you moaning for? The goal stood. Right? And that's fine. The goal did stand. But we were robbed of the celebration. Yeah. We started celebrating, and even though certainly, and Ped's view is totally different because the Gladys seat, so he's at the other end. I'm on the halfway line, so I could see. But we didn't celebrate truly because the linesman's got his flag up. And you know that how many times do Everton go to VAR and it works for us? It ain't a lot. It's about as often. It's about as often as we win 3-0 in a game. So
it's fact.
And that's the way it is. And they've robbed us of that moment to celebrate. Pep made a really good point on Monday on the final word. It's like a few good points, but this one in particular, there was no reason for that linesman to put his flag up. The goal is checked anyway. So if he'd have just kept his flag down, then VAR would have looked and gone, was there anything wrong with this goal? Bang, is he offside? No, is there a foul? No, is it a goal? Linesman wouldn't have had any criticism. We would have been able to celebrate and the game would have restarted. But what we had was a game that was stopped for almost 3 minutes, which wasn't added on at the end, by the way. And then it goes and they show us on they show us the image in the stadium after they've given us the goal 3 minutes later, and it ain't even close. No. It's not even like it's close. So then all the embarrassment is heaped on the linesman to say, what on earth were you thinking there? Now, I don't know if he has been, but realistically, he should be stood down for 2 weeks because that is a horrific mistake. I know it went to VAR, and I know VAR checked it and never got the goal, but that's guessing for me. And if you're guessing, properly guessing, isn't it? If you're not sure, don't do it. Isn't that the thing?
Is that just a general rule in life?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I mean, if you're officiating, they always say you shouldn't be guessing.
You think about. No, it's a multi-billion-pound industry, right? Okay, these guys have to get it right. Why are these performances not being evaluated? It ought to be okay, I officiate a match on a Saturday. Yeah. That means that on a Tuesday, I've got to go in and somebody's going to sit me down and evaluate that performance and go, hey, what were you playing drop ball bingo for? Explain that whole shenanigan, right? And then also, here's the thing. That foul with Zaha, first of all, he was constricted from being in Seamus Coleman's back pocket all match. And he was getting angry, right? You know, when Zaha can't run, he gets angry. And he's been in Seamus's pocket all match. Then Gordon scores, and that elbow was blatant. It was dirty, it was a foul, and it should have been a red, okay? So my whole thing is that the melee never happens if the official maintains control of the match and effectively punishes the foul, okay? Yeah. So for me, for the FA to come out and point fingers at Everton and Crystal Palace for saying, hey, you guys got out of control. Okay, well, let's ask the question, why did they get out of control? Because the official never had control of the match. So why don't we start addressing the root cause of the problem, which is inconsistent officiating, and it's not just in that match, it's across the board every week. And it's shocking. Absolutely. These people are supposed to be the epitome of the standard, the premier level of football, and they're shocking. They couldn't find They couldn't find it but with both hands in the dark, okay? I mean, it really is shocking. I mean, it's gone from being just, they're not great to they're awful. They're awful. But by the way, I want to say a couple of things. The new couches look superb. I mean, y'all really upgraded. That's a high style and good business. But also, every time I think about going down to Craven Cottage, right? Is that crazy Michael Jackson statue still down there at Craven Cottage?
No, I think that went with.
Don't you remember that was a thing?
Yeah. It went with the owner.
It
went when the owner sold up.
Okay. Okay. So the next thing I want to ask you is, do you remember that goal that Ricky, the cocaine trained Royston Drenthe scored down at Craven Cottage?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. I think
that was incredible.
I think we won 3-1,
that was the only time.
Rodwell scored
that
as well,
was the only time the old cocaine. And the cocaine train never scored again. You know what I mean? But that was sorry. I always think about that.
He did score a belter. He scored a belter at QPR as well, from about 25
scored
yards.
Scored at Goodison as well against Wigan.
Scored in Wigan.
Strachey flipped it on.
Blackpool, then he bent in the top corner.
There you go. We don't forget.
See, why do
we
I
are very much like.
Why do I only remember the one?
We are very much like Baskin and Robbins.
You're right.
Astro, we never forget.
That's outstanding.
Yeah,
but no, like I'm telling you, I'm made up with the performance that I saw this weekend.
Yeah.
It really was a solid answer to what we had seen midweek. And I'll say this, like Dom, that goal he scored, and Baz, you said it in one of the previous shows this week, the way he was able to just shirk that defender off and maintain possession and take the shot so decisively, like if he's got that in his locker, then that's a whole nother dimension that defenders have to worry about when they're trying to control him, and it frees up other people.
Absolutely.
Right? It frees up other people and opens up other spaces. And that team goal, I mean, I think 10 guys touched the ball.
It was only Ghana that didn't touch it.
Was the only one, that didn't touch it. Watching that on the telly, like I'm only on the far side of the planet, was literally a work of art. That was beautiful watching that. And the way Dom dropped back and took that ball off Iwobi at the halfway line and then turned and pivoted. I mean, he was right where he needed to be when he needed to be there.
Yeah,
and Iwobi's doing that as well. Yeah, and Iwobi's doing that as well. He's turning up right where he needs to be when he needs to be there. He's like teleporting himself all over the pitch. And I understand that Jedi can roll like that, right? Old Obi-Wan Iwobi, man, he's mind quadding all over the pitch, and I love it. And like I have to admit, I was really critical of him last year, and I'm gonna sing his praises because he deserves it, and I was wrong and he was right. So you know what I mean. But I will say that whole performance, like McNeil breaking in, making that run, and who was there? Iwobi. I mean, in the right place at the right time, doing exactly what he needed to do. When we get it right, it is so much fun watching Everton right now. And I'm literally just thinking one match at a time, right? One match at a time. Take it one bit by bit, and then we just see where we are. I think that we're heading in the right direction. The foundation feels right. The team, I know, 3 losses was hard to take, but look at the bigger picture, looking backwards, and then one thing at a time moving forward. And I think perspective is there to see that we're moving in the right direction. And I'm very positive, and I'm enjoying things at the moment.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's good.
Absolutely. That's how it is, isn't it? That's how it is. We take it slowly.
Yeah.
We see what happens. We see what evolves. We could all be sacked here, gutted next week, but that's what happens when you're trying to build.
That's true.
You're hitting bumps in the road, and every time there's a challenge thrown in your way, how do you deal with it? And that's what Everton have got to deal with. But overall, different class Saturday. Can they do it again?
We're not going to answer every question correctly, right? Because we're still figuring out like what we have at our disposal and who's great at what and what formation works and what doesn't.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think that there's going to be trial and there's going to be error, but I think that when we do get the right answer, it's going to be really, really clear like it was against Palace. And I'll tell you what the wrong answer is. The wrong answer is the Premier League and the universe conspiring against me ever seeing a match at Goodison Park again. Because it has happened like 3 times, and it happened again because I'm going to be over for Christmas, and I was going to fly home on the 3rd. I was going to fly home on the 4th, right?
Yeah.
And I was going to come up for the match on the 2nd. I was going to get the train home in the morning on the 3rd because it's like 3 hours on the train back to the house, right? And I was going to fly home to the States on the 4th. Well, now that they've moved the match, I can't go. So it's happened again.
So hang on.
This is like the 4th time in a row.
Hang on.
I can't go.
When do you arrive here, though?
I get into we're flying in like the 22nd.
Right. So
I know there's the Boxing Day match.
Day.
I know there's a Boxing Day match. Can't do that because I got family requirements on Boxing Day. And then on the 31st is Man City. Right. Can't do that because. It's just not in the cards, right? And you got something else going on with the family, because I'm back there to see family, right?
Yeah, of course.
And then the second was the one The second was the one. It
Otherwise,
was at Goodison.
just start walking on the third.
Yeah.
Game finishes at 9:30. Just jog home. You'd be home at 1.
Well, you know what's mad? You know what's mad, right? You know what's mad is that if I literally didn't have flights going out the next day, and like, you know what, the last train out of town is at 7:00.
Yeah, no,
that connects me back to the Northeast, and it was like I literally
find out how much an Uber is. An Uber's probably similar to bloody train. Sophie did say just get Ubers everywhere.
Yeah,
Sophie goes, didn't she? She did say.
What I would say is, I don't know, if there's any way you can get back that night, you should
do it.
Should try and do it. I mean, I'm sure there's Blues.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's Blues who'll be heading towards the Northeast that night.
Yeah.
Who go to games or something.
Just give you the live as long as you're.
I think you should just use the power of positivity.
Yeah. I feel like your cup's half empty here, Astro, and normally you know what people, the nation fell in love with you for being half full all the time, and now fully full. Fully full,
being on the brim all the time.
Bit of brimming.
Listen, my cup running over with positivity about Everton. It's just them moving the matches.
I know, mate. I know.
Yeah.
Don't give up. Yeah.
I mean, I had it all set.
No.
I'm not giving up.
Don't give up because, like Peds just said, there might be a couple of Evertonians who drive down from the Northeast, and you can go back, you know what I mean? That might bring you down. You might go back and throw a couple of quid in for petrol, and everyone's a winner.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, therefore, you know, that's certainly something to put the feelers out for.
And I'm gonna. It's just with the flight home on the, like, you know, we're flying out like wicked early on the 4th.
Astro. Hang on. You're just bringing me problems. I only want solutions.
Hang on. Where are you flying home from?
Right now, we're going to be flying out of Newcastle, and we're going to go from Newcastle over to Schiphol, and then Schiphol back to Atlanta.
Okay. No, because I was just going to say, if there was any chance you could fly from Manchester on the 4th, and maybe bring your wonderful wife with you to Liverpool to the game, and then make your way back to Manchester. Go on. Listen.
Is that booked? Is it booked from Newcastle? I can't because is it booked from Newcastle now? The flight home.
Yeah, it's booked from Newcastle. The flight. That's the problem. But there is a chance. But there is a chance that the flights may change. Okay. And if the flights do change, I am looking at going out of Manchester.
That is the solution.
On that day.
That's the solution.
The other thing is, listen, you get back to Newcastle as long as you're ready to go with your missus to the airport. It doesn't really matter if you get back at 5 o'clock in the morning. If you've got to go to the airport at 6, does it?
I think the solution to this is get the flights to Manchester. I think that's the solution to all the problems. All the problems.
Well,
I was able to book the tickets with some miles that I had. So I'm going to be able to. Maybe I can make some changes. So we're looking at it.
I would.
You know,
I'm just trying to make dreams come true.
Yeah, it's all about dreams come true.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
You know,
listen,
Gabrielle
that'll
said
be the
it.
tagline under Toffee TV.
Very much
Toffee
like Panorama
TV,
Kitchens.
Come true.
Gabrielle said it best.
She did very much so.
You know, she put a patch over the line saying dreams will come true. That's what it's about. Keep believing, as I think he said. Don't stop believing.
Yeah, mate.
As they said.
Absolutely. Absolutely, mate. Yeah. And y'all keep up the boss work. If you're not on Premier already, you need to sign up because you're missing out.
And also, we need to pay for
the best thing going.
And we need to pay for that couch. So,
listen, Daddy's new couch ain't free. We all got to pitch in for that. We all got to pitch in for that.
Ned's not allowed anywhere near the couch with Cam.
No, Ned and Cam.
Yeah, I was about to say no more Superfly Jimmy Snuka off the top rope onto the couch cushion.
Not for those fat bitches.
That can't happen.
They are done. Yeah, they are done for wrestling.
Yeah. There you go. Astro, as always,
thanks, guys.
It's a pleasure, my friend. Speak
to you later.
Speak
to you, mate. Take care.
See you later, mate. Ta-ra, mate.
Bye.
Astro.
Some man. But he has to give up a little bit early there, I think.
Well, you know, listen, he's a good family man. He's got to respect.
I know, but
he's got to respect.
Well, he's respecting it because the reality is he should be at the Wolves game. That's the reality.
I'm not saying anything.
Christmas Day, brilliant, and then Boxing Day. I'm not going to be around because I'm going to match. But then you've got me for the rest of it again. No, mate.
Okay,
you give up.
I don't know.
You give up too easy.
I don't know.
Andy says, Okay, so we titled the thing. There was a report that Everton had
We haven't
scouts.
spoke about this.
No, we've got the title. So Everton had scouts up at Parkhead last night to watch Mikhailo Mudryk. The Blues did obviously fail with a £26.9 million bid for him at the end of the transfer window. He's been fantastic this season.
His goal last night was wonderful.
But his goal was fabulous last night, wasn't he? And then he went on that incredible run and squared it to the lad with an open goal who somehow transpired to put the ball wide when it was almost impossible to do what he did.
That finish reminded me of someone else. But I can't remember who it was.
But Andy says, what is the most you'd go to for Mudryk? I'd honestly go up to 50 or 60 million.
I don't know, and the reason why I don't know this is because I don't know what Everton have got to spend on him. And ultimately, I think this is the most important thing. I don't know what his value is, what Everton value is for him. And listen, he looks a really exciting talent, but didn't we get ourselves in that big mess by buying players in for much higher than we should have? And I know there is that thing of like, but you can have your value, but if he's the only one out there and he is willing to come, which is the other side. I don't know if he's willing to come to Everton. He might be looking at Arsenal or the Champions League team or all that.
Yeah,
and that's where Everton might have to pay more. So I'd pay 70 million for him.
But he does look good, and the thing about it is, he is really quick, and that, for the Premier League, that's why that kind of stacks up. I guess the same with Mohamed Kudus, who again, sources in Holland maintaining. He's only got on with I think 7 minutes or something last week. Sources in Holland maintain he's desperate to join Everton in January. Just depends how much it is.
Right, we've got Pat on the line. See, this is what happens when you get an early caller. They just start.
The seal's been broken.
The seal has been broken.
The seal's broken.
Pat, how are you?
I'm doing very well, guys. Baz, I got to take you to task a little bit.
Go on, mate.
Or not Baz. Pat, I got to take you to task.
No, not me.
Baz
okay.
is right. There were 3 midfielders for Palace.
No, they weren't. And I'm not taking... By the way, I'm not taking anything away from Everton's performance. I actually used it... It might have come across as negative, right? But I'm looking at it as a positive in terms of you come up against teams and you should be outnumbering the midfield. I maintain that Palace only had one midfielder because they had one centre midfielder. The 2 guys next to them were basically attacking players. And what I'm saying is, if you smell weakness, which I think we did on Saturday, you go and attack it, and that's what we did. And I see that as a positive. Don't be spinning my words on me, Pat. Be spinning my words.
No, I just wanted to say.
All right, go on.
It's just the older school mindset. I think it comes from the idea of football's old nomenclature for formations used to only be in 3 segments, whereas in modern we do all sorts of things with 5 segments.
Oh yeah.
You would normally call it like a 4-5-1, right? We now call it a 4-1-4-1 or whatever. It doesn't matter. That's I just wanted to get in there just to make sure, because it did sound negative. I just wanted to hear.
No, it wasn't negative. It was, see, again, people putting words in my mouth. People putting emotions on me. Not even words. People putting emotions on me. I thought they had one midfielder, and that's why we destroyed them in midfield, and that to me was a positive. And that to me is a massive positive. And what it showed was when we used to go and play against teams and we only had 2 in midfield, and we got outnumbered 3-2, and we all moaned, and yet it happened every week. And I think that was showing you. That's what I was saying, is that you outnumber the opposition in midfield and you play well. You can. That's where the game is won and lost. And I think that's what we did on Saturday, and that enabled Mykolenko then to start playing higher, and we played higher as a team. And I take your point.
Yeah, when you have your most talented players are in midfield, well, make sure your midfield is set up to be the most dominant in the team.
Yeah.
Get 3 midfielders. That's our strongest and deepest position is in midfield, so use it. On the refereeing, just like Astro's saying, I've said this before in a couple calls, you need some kind of oversight, scoring, and accountability system. And don't have the FA do it because they're idiots. And don't have the refs association do it. You need an outside parties, find good refs that, go elsewhere, because God forbid, we can't find any good English refs. We've all seen that throughout the Premier League. this year. But do something, because baseball used to have this horrible problem too, where balls outside the zone called strikes all the time. And they brought that in, and they got rid of the old fart dinosaurs and idiot refs. And it's better now. It's not perfect, but it's better than it is. And we need to get rid of, the Darren Englands of the world.
The only problem is,
of the world. How is Mike Dean in charge of the refs?
The only problem is, Pat, right? This is the only problem and it's a great suggestion, but this is the only problem. Do you remember when Nias got pulled up for diving at Crystal Palace? Can you remember that far back? Right. Well, when he got pulled up for that, right? Yeah, that was like what? That was like 2017, right? So it was 5 years ago.
2-2 draw.
2-2 draw. He wins as a penalty. We scored a penalty. So after the game, it went on so you might have heard this, but you wouldn't have seen it. So on that particular day, none of the Champions League teams were playing. They were all playing on the Sunday. So match of the day here. We are like one of the main games. Everton are in trouble. They've just sacked the manager. 2-2 at Palace. Blah, blah. We're one of the main games. So they analysed our game really closely. And Danny Murphy basically said, Nias has dived. I think it was Danny Murphy.
That's Danny Murphy.
He said, Nias has dived. That needs looking at. At the same time, the FA...
And what he said was, I'll be surprised if he doesn't get a ban
so at the time, there was this new thing had come out, like pre-VAR, where an independent body, which was a collection of ex-players and God knows who else.
But Danny Murphy was on it.
And Danny Murphy was on it, by the way. We're going to sit down on the Monday morning and they were going to cut through all this nonsense. So if you dived, you were going to get sanctioned, right? And this happened on the Monday morning. He'd done it on Match of the Day. And his 100% independent board felt that Nias dived and he got a 2-match ban for it, wasn't it? Wasn't it a 2-match ban? A 2-match ban for diving he got. Which was just
2-match ban, yeah.
Yeah, it was,
and he was scoring goals at that time. He was become important to us.
Him and Lanzini were the only ever players to get punished for this thing, and as I say, it only happened to 2 players, and he got a 2-match ban. A 2-match ban for diving, which there's no actual proof that he dived, and that was an independent body. So unfortunately, that's as much as I trust independent bodies when it comes to football in this country.
Well,
because everybody, everybody, right, has got their hand in the cookie jar. Everybody. For one reason or another, everybody's got their hand in the cookie jar. So, what needs... You don't get me wrong, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. What we need to do is get rid of all these referees. All these referees are going on VAR. No, forget all that. We need something new. And you're right, what you're saying here about baseball. Bring young talent into it somehow. Get former players who are now struggling maybe to earn a living back into the game. Put them in the VAR and get it all sorted on the day so that, like we were saying before, you get the right decisions on the day from people who understand the game. You're absolutely right what you're saying. It's just that I don't trust anybody in football anymore, sadly, because everybody's got a... There's no such thing, sadly, in I don't think in this country in terms of independent people. I just don't think there is.
There's not, is there? There's not. It's all. They're all part of a $1 billion pound industry. So therefore, if you are naive enough to think that stuff isn't shaped and framed in a certain way to benefit that £1 billion industry, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Go on, Pat. Sorry.
Well, so this is what I think. So English refs, particularly, or British refs in general, have been really poor, at least by subjective standards of the way people perceive them. I don't know, despite if Serie A refs or Ligue 1 refs or La Liga refs are any better. I don't really watch it that much, but I'm sure you can find there are some well-respected refs you could bring. The problem is Danny Murphy's on a panel doing that. You're not having well-respected former refs from outside the country who know the rules, or good referee instructors who are respected coming in and doing it. It would be tough. It would be very tough. Don't get me wrong, because of how kind of the cronyism of FIFA, UEFA, the FA, the whatever they call the referees union in Britain. All of that, it would be such a huge thing. I just think at some point it has to happen, because this is like, I whine about refs in American sports, but I kind of realize I'm just doing it as a homer. I legitimately watch other games and go, this is appalling.
Yeah, it is. That's, I mean, we obviously all do look at it through our own thing, but like I try and stay away from the referee kind of stuff, but Saturday was horrific, and obviously the lines on disallowing the second goal really did top it off for me in terms of like you losing that moment of in a game. You go the game to be entertained most of the time. I mean, I know that's not always the occasion, but you go for the hope to be entertained, and you go for the spontaneity, you go for the joy. And going back to the last VAR decision we had, the Conor Cody one, you know, there was so much joy when that went in, and I probably said at the time I wish the flag had gone up, but I probably don't, because we got to enjoy that goal, and if the VAR had give it, we would have known no difference, and we'd have that moment forever. And it's the same with Saturday. It's like if the flag doesn't go up, we never know that's not a goal, really, because it goes to VAR. Well, it doesn't go to VAR technically. They look at it and go, that goal's fine, yeah, it's sound. Or there's no... Basically, they look at it and go, there's no reason to disallow that. There's no reason to even look at that. And that flag should never go up. That's, for me, it's not ruined the goal, because ultimately we won 3-0 and that's all I really care about. But being in the Galaxy, not seeing that, and the joy that of the people around you, that's why we go to sports. That's what we love, the highs, we love the lows. I get that, but to me, it really annoyed me. That what we've got to start getting right, for me, is all the little things in football, like I said before. So I've said this before, and I apologise for boring people, but we need to get the new offside cameras in, and we'll see that in the World Cup. And when the World Cup comes and the layman starts to see it, the general football fan who maybe hasn't seen what's going on in the Champions League, people will go, why aren't we using this? And I think that's where the clamour for that will come in, because obviously you don't get that talked about, because obviously BT are the only ones who've got the Champions League. But when that comes in, and then we get linesmen then going, oh, I can see what happened over there, I can see that was a foul, or I seen Sahar grab hold of his neck, or I seen the elbow and all that kind of thing, then I think we start breaking down those moments of a game. So we don't get this thing where the FA go, we're punishing everybody. That's a joke. To me, that's a joke. You know, so...
Yeah, so...
Go on.
Can I say something about... I just have one more thing.
Go on, mate, go on.
Is that... So that clothesline on Dom, Zaha's elbow, and attempt to strangle, who was it, Tarkowski?
Yeah.
They're all red cards. Probably individually, but I've talked to rugby union fans who say those are probably reds in rugby. And a Chicago Bears player 2 days ago was ejected for less in a game where you have pads and each other like trucks, and you're designed to do that. They're way more violent than soccer or football. How is it possible that a player in American football gets sent off for less than what Wilfred Zaha did to Tarkowski or to Gordon? That's absurd to me.
And it's funny, going back to your original point, I think, and I've just seen a comment there, someone saying it on Twitter, isn't it the referee's job to keep control of a game of football? Isn't that literally his job? Of course, yeah. So the only person who's failed is the referee. Because like we said on the final word, is basically, if he'd done his job, 3 or 4 of those Crystal Palace players would have been on yellow cards and would not have raised their hands, knowing that they would have got a second yellow. Simple as that. If James Tarkowski had waded in on a yellow card there, we'd have all gone, what are you doing? What are you doing? And it should have been the same with the Palace players. The Palace players should have, 3 of those players should have already been on a yellow card, in my eyes. Ayew and the dog they had at the back should have been on yellow cards. And therefore, they wouldn't have been anywhere near that situation. Therefore, the referee has control of the game. Because if you think about it, that's all a yellow card or a red card is. It's getting control. It's saying to you, don't do that again, because you're off. So therefore, and that's all it is, isn't it? It's just control. So the only person who failed to keep control of that game on Saturday was the referee.
And exactly. Just to move on, it was kind of funny just seeing after the Newcastle game, all the Geordies kind of upping up big Nick Pope, all that. And so I decided to have a little bit of a look. And Baz, you'll know what this is, but I looked at the post-shot XG plus or minus, basically how many above goals you save above the expected amount an average goalie would give up. And Pickford is 4th in the league, and he's saving us around 3. He saved us around 3 goals this year. Nick Pope is down at like 1. Nick Pope's a fine goalie. He is not England's number 1. Get it off is nuts, Geordie.
Yeah,
his kicking's not good enough to beat the England number 1. I
think it's Jordan Pickford comfortably England's best goalie. Whether or not you think there's other goalies better than Jordan Pickford, I'm not saying that. I'm saying he's comfortably England's best goalkeeper.
Yeah, easily.
Currently, and you know, in the future, maybe.
Goalies make mistakes. We've seen Lloris at the weekend. You know, he'll go in as France's number one at, what is he, 37?
Yeah.
And he makes mistakes, you know, but goalies will make mistakes. Jordan's just cut out the really, really stupid ones. He does make mistakes. The goal against Manchester United was a mistake. I think his reaction to what happened to Harry Kane for the penalty was a mistake. And the mistake...
He dropped the ball.
Was a mistake. But in terms of, you know... But he helped set up the second goal because he's cool and with his feet, and therefore it's helped set the goal.
And Southgate, he's never done anything but being good for England, so it's not even a question.
It's because he's shorter. Now, I was a 6 foot tall goalie. Neville Southall was what? Big Nev was 6'1", right?
6'1", yeah,
feet.
that's
he
it.
Wasn't huge either.
No.
They're built of the same thing. They are incredibly quick with great reaction times and insane anticipation. You don't see Nick Pope or Aaron Ramsdale moving that fast or anticipating as well as Pickford does. And that was always Southall's huge strength, is just how quick he was and had great anticipation and reaction time. He didn't have to be the biggest guy to make incredible saves.
No, that's right. Absolutely right.
Absolutely. There you go. Cheers, Pat.
One
Thanks
last
for...
thing.
Go on.
Well, hold on. Okay, one last thing.
Go on.
Loans and buy-in. Chelsea have 1,000 types of wingers. Go get Ziyech if we want him on the cheap, or we could go get Pulisic. They aren't playing, and we could go get them. It would add depth and maybe could push Gray or Gordon. That's my last thought. Interesting.
Thanks.
There
There you go. Thanks for that,
right,
Pat.
cheers,
mate.
Pat. Thanks for calling, mate. Take it easy. Bye-bye. Bye.
Yeah, Ziyech would be interesting, man.
Sophie says Nottingham Forest apparently going to spend 100 million in a January transfer window.
How?
FFP to come. They can't, Sophie. They've got a lunatic owner, but they already spent 150 million in the summer.
Where would he put all the players?
They're at the limit. So I think it's just paper talk. It was the same that Newcastle was spending 500 million in the summer, and it was just nonsense, wasn't it? Where are we? Where are you? No, just these just dart up and down quickly, these comments. That's me, it's a prem there. Phil McHale says, where about in the northeast is Astro wanting to get to? It must be Newcastle, right?
No, he's not. His family home is not far from Whitby.
Oh, okay.
I believe so.
Okay, so that area.
Yeah, it's not quite Newcastle, but I think it's Whitby area.
Okay.
So
Michael Wood says, where is Astro needing to get to? Surely there's a northeastern supporter.
Yeah, it is around Whitby, I think.
Toffee Chaz says Astro should film his first game in Goodison. He's been to Goodison a few times. He just hasn't been for a while.
Yeah, he's been to Goodison 10 years ago nearly. He went. I think he first went in 2010 or 9.
Fulham.
I went with them one year and we met, and I took him to meet Landon Donovan and Seamus, and he's met Tim Howard and he's met Howard Kendall. So Nick's been an Everton fan for a while. He's not fresh off the boat. Nick was stationed in Germany, so he used to find it a lot easier to go to the games than when he was in Germany. But he's back in the States now. But when he was in Germany, he could go to games. I think he went to some away games in London as well. So yeah. There's a picture of me, Nick, Eric, my missus, and Eric's missus with Landon Donovan. So at Everton, which Everton graciously allowed. So
all good. It's all good. Check. Michael's. Oh no, I've done that one, haven't I? Needed to refresh. That's why. Needed the Al Giran there to refresh. Did you hear Ben Foster asking? Well, Tim Howard talking about Royston Drenthe. Yeah, it's a bit mad, wasn't it? It's a bit mad, but he was, that story told about turning up to party and all of that. Classic Royston.
I always wonder who let him into Finch Farm then. Do you know what I mean? Did the security guard just see a player and go, yeah, go ahead?
Panicked.
Even though he's in a party bus at 4 o'clock in the morning.
They're just like, it's Royston.
Royston Drenthe once pulled alongside me on London Road while I was on the cabs. And I looked at me and he went, do you know where the Hilton is? And I went, yeah, just follow me. And I drove him drove him down. He followed me in his big car and he just followed me into the Hilton. I went miles out my way to get him there. So it's my fault.
Carla says it. Simon Hubert is the 4th official for Fulham Everton.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means because they're all just terrible.
Oh yeah, no, but it's just the fact he was the ref on Saturday and now he's at our game again on this Saturday. Carla then says, carrying on with the referee conversation, the biggest problem for me, apart from how bad they are, is the fact they're so protected, so there is no accountability for bad performances. They get away with murder and no one can say a word about them without being fined. How can things improve around referees if they have no one to answer to?
But I think what's got to happen is we were told we were going to start hearing VAR conversations and it wasn't going to be at the start of the season. Well, it's now nearly November and we've not heard one, and I think it's pathetic that this is where we are and treated like kids. Like, I would love to hear the conversation that happened on Saturday about our second goal. I'd love to know how it took 3 minutes to find that. I'd love to know if there was something else involved. I'd love to know if they mentioned whether they'd been offside early in the move. I would love to know because I think we deserve to know, and I think Everton Football Club deserve, and every football club actually deserves to have. There needs to be honest dialogue when it comes to decisions being made. How did you come to that decision? How are you fining us? How are you punishing us for this thing? Why wasn't this player sent off? If something happens in a game, Bournemouth deserve to know what happened on Monday night. They deserve to hear the conversation, whether you think it was handball for Kurt Zouma or not. They deserve to hear the conversation, how that referee came to that decision, as far as I'm concerned.
I want to know how he comes to the decision not to send the Bournemouth player off who jumped through mid-air and tried to snap Shamrock.
Exactly. It works both ways, doesn't it? It works both ways.
They're just terrible referees.
Come to put the audio on and tell us how you came to those decisions, because we deserve to know. We're on the end of it one way or another, so we deserve to know how you came up with that decision. I think that's got to start changing, especially when you start to throw around words like corruption and things like that.
Exactly. Phil McHale says, I'll take Astro back after the game.
There you go. Astro, if you're still watching, Phil McHale says he'll take you back to wherever you need to go to. I don't know if that makes it any decision easier for you. I don't know. But there you go. Yeah, just get the flight moved to Manchester.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
It's the 3rd of December. Newcastle will be probably snowed in, I'd imagine. So,
yeah, Newcastle's.
You don't want to take that chance. You don't want to get stuck in Newcastle. You don't want to take that chance. You know what I mean? So I'd just move it to Manchester. Makes it easier for everyone, that, I think, personally. Come down in the day. Mr. stays in Manchester, or comes the match with you, and then go back to Manchester. Stay in an airport hotel. Next day, you're on the plane, over to Amsterdam, over to America. Everyone's happy. You've gone the match. Job won, as far as I'm concerned. Everyone's a winner. The only people who are not winners are Newcastle, and that's been the way for about 90 odd years.
Pat says that's why I think the head referee of a match should be forced to go on a live stadium mic and explain a VAR decision. Would make it more understandable and force them to face up to their horrible decisions. That's it, isn't it? It's they're having that conversation. Why can't we hear it? If it's all above board, then why can't we hear what he's saying?
I'd go one step further. I'd have it like the NFL. I'd have the ref mic'd up and then after this just describe what the situation is. Number 10, not in offside position, goal stance. Do you know what I mean?
And they have to do it in that voice.
Yeah, they have to do it like American.
But that's fine.
That's the way they do it.
Listen, that's fine.
With a cap on. You have to put a cap on and a stripy top on and go and say it.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Because then we'd all go, oh yeah. Because it's very much like, I mean, we've said this a few times, but the goal Casemiro scores at Chelsea at the weekend, header, it's the post. It looks like Kepa dragged it back across the line. Chelsea plays it like that. The referee just goes, buzz mate, that's it. And everyone just goes, it's over the line. You can go, jammy or whatever, but it's just over the line. We'll see it, I imagine, when the AI offsides come in,
when the
we'll go.
When the World Cup comes in and you're seeing it like 2-3 times a day, and you're seeing a couple of decisions a game, and it's right in everyone's face.
Instant,
then people will be the average,
brilliant.
The casual fan who might not have been taking, as I said, watching the Champions League, might go, why haven't we got this? And then you'll get your Danny Murphy making dead blatant obvious things going, Premier League should have that.
Yeah.
And then Shearer will say something similar, and they'll be like, we need this system.
The pressure,
because that's basically what happened in the last World Cup, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When we had VAR, people started to say, why haven't we got this? Biggest league in the world, why haven't we got this? And that'll hasten then. And we probably should, we will get it next season. I'd look at it now and go, can we get in for the second half of the season?
Oh, absolutely.
What's the difference?
There's a natural break.
It's still, there's no change in the rule, by the way. The rule does not change. The offside rule's not changing. It's just the way you come to it. Now, if you're drawing lines at the moment and someone says, you're watching this in HD, but we can give you 4K or we can give you 8K, mate. That's the difference, isn't it? It's not. There's no difference. There's no difference in the rule. It's still offside. It's just how we come to that decision.
We get to the decision.
And if on January 1st they say from that rest of the season, you made a great point yesterday. When the FA Cup starts next year, second week in January or the end of the first week, whatever it is, we'll have VAR depending on whether we're playing home or away. If we're playing someone at home, it's VAR. If we're playing them away and then on a Premier League team, there's no VAR. So what difference does it make? So for the Premier League just to change from one VAR system to another, I think makes sense. And you've got 6 weeks to get it into the stadiums and get it tested. Get it done.
No, it should absolutely do it, because
best league in the world.
The whole thing about it is, if you do it, then we all move on to the next thing. And then that's why when we're talking about referees and what they're, why can't we hear what you're saying? And if you are genuinely just having a conversation, trying to get the right decision, why can't we hear what you're saying?
Chet.
Seems a bit...
No, the Aussies have got it right. The Aussie one's spot on. You hear the Australian one and they get it right. There was one again at the weekend where a lad got a yellow card and for a high foot. And then the ref the fella you hear him goes, I think you need to check that, and you need to check for a penalty as well. He goes back, checks, he goes, I think that's a red card and I think that's a penalty. So he goes over, checks it is in the box, and it is a high foot to the face and it's a red card, and he goes over it, gives it all that, and everyone hears it, and he says red card, penalty, and everybody knows
well, that's it, isn't it? It's gotta be transparent, because even if it's a case of the being as honest as they can be, people will always turn around and go, nah, because it's this or that. So the best way to do it is let us hear you. And then you go, listen, look at that looks like it, and the referee goes, this is what the decision is because of this. This is it. And then you're on the stage and you go, oh, right, so he's give it because of that. Like, okay. At least you know. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes you just go, well, hang on, how can that not be a penalty, or how is that a penalty, or whatever. But yeah, let's see. Eugene says there's a Sky Sports pundit concerned that Jamie Carragher caused Everton stars Anthony Gordon dive a reputation.
But who said it?
I don't know, just says Sky Sports pundit. Interesting. Hit the like button if you are watching, and subscribe if you haven't.
Again, these things do come. We mentioned before the Nias thing. This is what happens. It gets highlighted on the TV, and the next minute it becomes a thing. Richarlison has got. Let's be honest. Jamie Carragher has helped with this Richarlison hatred, and it continued. He did it last season. He's done it in the derby when he got legitimately injured, and then basically nearly missed the end of the season. And
he had to apologise.
Yeah, and then the Forest game, he gets booted in the air for doing a couple of keepy-ups, and it's, well, that's fine. And it's like, what are you talking about? And that's why he had a little spat with me on Twitter.
Jack says, evening gents, just saw a post linking us with Daniel Podence from Wolves. What are your thoughts on him? He wouldn't improve us much, in my opinion. He's a good player, but for me, I want Everton to stay away from these kind of players. That we're linked with Kudus, we're linked with Mudryk, we were linked with Jonathan David, although he probably wouldn't come here. But no, not for me. He's not for me. 27 years of age, he's not for me. I think there's better, Jack, to be honest. I'd rather us take, you know, the likes of Onana are the ones we want to be going in them kind of levels. So, and Kudus would fit into that, I guess. Chris Burns says the referee did an interview on Sky Sports a few years ago with Rio Ferdinand and a few others. And apparently the reason refs aren't mic'd up is because the club managers don't want them to be. The reason being is some of the stuff the players are saying to referees they don't want it.
Well, then
you don't micing them up though, stop players doing it anyway.
Exactly. But the point being is, go and watch rugby union. They are mic'd up again, and again the conversations are brilliant. And when the players go over, and the players are obviously they're very, very respectful in rugby union. It's a different.
It's all
thing.
shared and everything.
Yeah,
isn't
because they come from a different place. They're all toffs, aren't they? In a way. But if you're worried about players, you know, swearing and stuff or being disrespectful to referees, that's on you. That's on you to stop that, isn't it? I understand that, you know, we're not talking about being mic'd up so everyone can hear everything a ref says.
No.
What we're talking about
conversation.
in NFL, he's not mic'd up all the time. He flicks a little button.
It's not difficult, is it?
And if you're speaking to someone, what difference does it make? The refs are mic'd up. The refs are mic'd up right now, so they can talk to the linesman and talk to the fourth official. Again, that's another reason I don't understand why someone puts his flag up. I don't understand that. For me, the linesman should just be pressing a button on his flag, and that should be sending a signal to the ref that something's going on. You know, one beep for yes, 2 beeps for no, 3 beeps for help me or something. You know what I mean? It doesn't. All these excuses they come out with are just bollocks.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. Like Mike Hawk says, hit the like button. Thank you very much, Mike. It is mad, yeah. Patrick says, why is it that people watching on the telly get to know what happens before I do, having paid more to be in the ground? Yeah. It is mad, isn't it, Patrick, that you sit like Saturday, even though I said that I was kind of very confident Anthony Gordon's goal would stand because of where it was. You still sat there for nearly 3 minutes, not knowing whether what they're gonna come up with. You know, are they gonna go back? Did Jordan Pickford kick the ball too hard for the referee's liking in the start of the goal?
Was there a foul in the build-up to the goal?
Yeah, it's all of the stuff we've seen. Man City, get a goal disallowed the other week at Anfield, and they went back about 7 weeks to something that had happened, and Fabinho was falling over. You couldn't knock him over if you tried. There's all of that stuff. You know, how far back do we go? We seen Leeds get a pen against Arsenal when the lad was basically sat behind the goal, chatting, having a bit of pie when he received the ball. You know, miles offside, and he gets the penalty. Yeah, you know, stood there like that. It's ridiculous. And you're in the stadium and you can't understand what's happening because we can't hear anything. You know, it is crazy. Some of that kind of stuff is crazy to me. Maxter 1878 said the officiating was dreadful on Saturday. The drop ball debacle should be a sackable offence. Well, it was that was mad, wasn't it? That was absolutely berserk. That with Everton had the ball for the first one.
Yeah.
Anthony Gordon's got it. You know, Miller Hojovic had just got it header in. Him and Cody went together. They caught each other. Was it a foul? No, they both just went for the ball.
Well, they were banged dead. So
and Gordon's got the ball in the corner. Not like if he stops in the penalty spot and he's got it, whatever. He's got it in the corner. And he takes the ball off Gordon and gives it to Guaita. Guaita, for some reason, instead of just doing a bounce ball in their corner flag. And you know, people aren't happy and all of that. And then we get one in our box. So Jordan Pickford, you would think, would restart the game with the ball. And he takes the ball off Pickford, goes up to the halfway line and gives it to Anderson on the halfway line to carry on. And it's like, you've just done the same thing down the other end, but you give it to the goalie. And it's happened at this end, and now you're giving it back to them. Like, what goes through his head? Like, how do you justify that? The most basic thing is, I give it to that goalie, and I'm giving it to that goalie. And if anyone says anything, you go, like, mate, I give it to your keeper when it happened before, and now he's having it. Go away, and that's it. Yeah. And the player can't go, no, because you just go, yeah, all right, you did do that. I can't say a word. It's like the thing you see a share pull at one end, yellow card, do it at the other, nothing.
Apparently you don't get yellow cards for share pulling.
No, there was about 9. You done about 6 share pulls on
I
as well.
did every game. I could something.
It is crazy. I don't know, and I might be massively wrong. They might have took that rule away now that it isn't an automatic yellow, but it is berserk. It's absolutely berserk. Danny says, I still can't understand how VAR didn't not recommend the ref check the Rodri handball last season. The clearest bit of evidence ever to show they make decisions that suit them.
Well, they said...
Well, there was a Salah handball for the winner against City, wasn't it?
They said they didn't have a
yeah,
angle,
didn't have a good thingy. They didn't have a good view, did they?
It's just mad. Mad, I tell you.
But the telly did have all of the views.
Oh, yeah? Crazy.
Daniel Peters says, even rugby league referee from St Helens, Wigan and Widnes called... Yeah, even rugby league players, called the refs share and taught to respect them from 6 years old, should make refs up.
Well, again, this comes back to discussions we've had before about kids getting refereeing games and why parents should be banned. But that's just me.
Well, I remember playing for St Helens Town. It was the first time I'd heard it, that a few of the lads were calling the referee share. And like stood with their hands behind their back, not screaming in his face, just asking things. And they were having a conversation. The referee was talking, and I was just like, I was scouts.
I know. It's mad, isn't it?
I was like, oh.
It's mad, isn't it? Because football is one of the only sports where people don't get punished for like screaming at the official, like the authority on the pitch. You know what I mean?
It's mad, isn't it?
You know what I mean? It's like it should be a given. That when you're, but it comes from the parents, isn't it? A lot of the time.
I mean, we had in Zach's game on Sunday. There was a young referee, and he wasn't the best. Let's say that.
No, but how did the players?
Like our team were winning 1-0. The ball comes in, and the lad basically kicks it out of our goalie's hand and kicks him in the head, and it goes in. Yeah. And he gives the goal, which is like 9 times out of 10 it's a foul. Do you know what I mean? So I spoke to him after the game because they went on and won the game 5-4, and said, well done, ref, and you didn't have a good game. And I think my dad's like looking at me as if to go,
did you say he didn't have a good game to him?
No,
I was going to say
no, I was just saying he didn't have a good game. So I just said, well played. I said, but gotta say, ref, the first goal, he got that decision wrong. And he was like, oh, I thought it was this. And I said, well, he kicked the lad in the head. It's any referee give it. Blah, de blah. You've got to have that conversation. I wasn't abusive to him. I wasn't aggressive to him. I just had the thing. But that's what the like.
Done it, Ned?
It's that. Yeah. No, you've got to speak to them. You've got to let them know when you've done something wrong.
Did the refs, they have ultimate power?
Someone kicks a kid in the head to score.
Did you go round to every single player in your team who made a mistake and have a comment with them?
Oh, yeah.
Did you? Yeah.
On Monday.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, they got it Monday. Okay, they got it Monday night.
You sound awful.
They got it Monday.
You sound like a terrible person.
No, it's about improving people.
Doesn't sound like
that's
improving
what it's
people.
For.
Sounds like bullying.
No,
it's
improvements. It's improvements. It's absolutely improvement.
Sounds like
you've never been told anything. That's why you haven't.
It sounds like bullying mixed with peer pressure.
You would know.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't know any of the sort.
Danny says, when I played Sunday League, we had a ref that was only 16, basically 3 years older than us playing at the time. The abuse, that kick-off from the dads was horrendous.
And that's I'll say it again. Parents should be banned from watching their kids play, and
unless it's behind a screen.
Unless it's behind a screen where that kid who's refereeing. Because how are we ever going? We seen it last week though, and it does. We seen Klopp screaming at the referee on the same day that basically the referees in Merseyside went on strike for the abuse they get, and it's disgusting. It's embarrassing as well.
And he was screaming at the ref, and they basically got given a goal that shouldn't have stood.
It's embarrassing. You know what I mean? It's embarrassing.
Wanderlust says, I see Fulham breaking the yo-yo trend this year. Interesting.
Yeah, I think it definitely stay
interesting. He could do. Don't forget Hull a few years ago with the top, weren't they? Or nearly in January, and then went in 3-4. Team always goes in 3-4.
They've got a goal scorer, that's the difference, isn't it? They've got a goal scorer, and that could definitely be the reason.
Easily. If they keep creating chances for him, he will score goals, won't he? And that's all they'll care about, staying up, of course they will. Forest have done it a different way, and I think they're going to have to try to stay up to keep the Wolves from the door, because they have spent stupid money for... I don't even get what they're doing. It's absolutely berserk. But there you go. Lions, he says, evening lads and fellow Blues, don't forget our ladies are playing in the Women's Super League Cup at 6:30.
It's the League Cup, isn't it, tonight?
So if you're missing a bit of midweek Blues fix, support the ladies. Loving the new set, lads. Cheers, Lindsay. Steve Kelly says, all right, lads, hope you're both well. Gonna pop in tomorrow. Good lad. Baz, while the World Cup is on, are we gonna have a live I'm a Celebrity Daily? Yeah, absolutely we are, Steve. We'll discuss that as well. There is 4 games a day while the World Cup
not every day, there's not.
First couple of weeks, there are.
Yeah, no, not every day.
Go and have a look, yeah.
Yeah, not every day. Not.
4 games a day from the 9 million thingies, the 9 million games. Carla says it was Kevin Campbell who said it about Carragher and Gordon. Fair play. Jack says, do you have any faith in Howard Webb improving the standard of refereeing when he takes over as chief of referees soon?
I'll be honest, I hadn't given much thought to it.
Yeah.
You know, you've dropped that on me.
Laid it on you.
You've laid it on me.
I mean, I haven't.
You laid it on me.
Jack has laid it on me.
You lay it on those poor referees on a Sunday morning.
Lay it on any poor referees to get away with murder.
Poor kids.
Bainey says,
but I'm sure he'll improve them.
Yeah. Bainey says, being part of a multi-billion organisation is always going to be controversial. It's always going to side with clubs who are rich or successful or both. Whether or not if their owners are controversial, until all clubs are represented equally with a level playing field. Sorry for the pun. Nothing will change. Decision makers need to be held to account. We deserve a level footing. For example, why wasn't Trippier booked when he confronted Gordon? He caused the issue, but we got the booking. They caused that issue last week. Kieran Trippier, he caused the whole kick-off and then jogged away the minute someone bigger than him come over with his head down and caused absolute uproar there. He should have been done. And that's what happens sometimes, isn't it? The reaction of other things. The referees almost forget who started. You know, you kind of drop the thing in and then go round the outside and walk away, and everyone, it's flared up over here. You've got away with it. But yeah, here you go.
That's the other side of it, isn't it? You've got to. That's where VAR could help as well, is by looking at that and going, actually, so and so caused that, so just go and book him and then just warn the other people, kind of thing.
Peter says, do we know the Red got fined for attacking the Man City bus, or the teams only get fined because another opposition player strangled the player? Don't know, Peter, is the answer to that. Whether they got fined or not, I'm not sure.
I don't know, Jim.
They do it every time, don't they, with that, the fans, so I don't know. Campbell says, my granddad played football till he was 50 and refereed till he was 80. Was as fit as a fiddle. Are fiddles fit?
Yeah. Why is fiddling why has that become, a major thing?
Fit as a fiddle. Fiddles must be fit.
Yeah.
In the day, mustn't they?
Yeah.
And who determines how fit the fiddle is?
I don't know. I was just watching one of the Redmen steal one of our lights. Yeah. Just literally steal him. And the thing is, he's leaving tomorrow, so I don't know if he's going to bring it back.
He might be taking that home with him, for all we know.
Do you know what I mean?
You just never ever know.
You just can't trust these fellas.
No.
Can't trust them.
No. For no reason, they're just coming.
Then he didn't ask. And he'll say, well, I didn't ask because you're live. But that's just favourite. We'd never take any of their things.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's wrong with you?
That boy says Everton must win against Fulham. I don't know whether they must win. It'd be lovely for them to win. I don't know whether they must win. What?
Ned's dropping bombs.
Well, he hasn't really. Because, I mean, like I say, when someone...
I don't know whether his aim is true, but...
When someone kicks someone in the head, then you'd expect it to be a foul, don't you? You know what I mean? When someone kicks it, it's not a 50-50 if the goalkeeper...
To be fair to Ned,
got hold of the ball.
That is, from where Ned comes from, butting someone's foot is very much a 50-50.
You told me when Ned, they just kick the rugby players.
No, I know what I'm saying.
That's all. They haven't got a clue how to play football.
They just walk around butting people's feet.
Okay.
That's just in the pub.
Classic Ned. You know. But yeah, there you go. The Blues says, Baz, have you watched Nicolas Gonzalez, Argentinian right winger, playing in Italy? Seen him. Decent. Where's he at? Fiorentina, is it? Or is it Fiorentina? I think it's Fiorentina. He's decent, yeah. Good player. There's a lot of good players Everton could get who would improve us without having to spend crazy money. Listen, Mudryk would be fantastic, wouldn't he? But how much do we seriously have to pay for him? Does he want to come here, like Ped said before, might want Champions League, and I'm sure he does want Champions League football, but there are players who improve Everton. We'll see if we can do. We definitely need to do something. We definitely need more in that final third. Livevid says some would say Saturday could have been a turning point, while others would express the obvious need for firepower. Would you consider Diaz of Blackburn or Mitrovic of Fulham? Yeah, Mitrovic, he's been amazing for over a year, and he is a handful. And Ned asked me before which Fulham player I would take, and I said him. But that doesn't mean... See, the thing, if we got Mitrovic, you'd have to replace Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And I don't know whether he's as good a footballer as what Dom is. He scored a lot of goals. I don't think Dom would get 47 goals in the Championship, to be fair. But Dom has scored a decent amount of goals in the Prem. But Mitrovic is a good player. I want a wide forward first who can get you goals. But we do need, I've said it a few times, we need someone to replace maybe Salomon Rondon, who I think the club are going to let leave in January. We need someone, and it might be someone in between Calvert-Lewin and Maupay. So maybe a youngest. Terem Moffey's the obvious one for me. But Everton are looking at a couple of young strikers as well, playing in League One and the Championship. So we'll see what happens with that. Livevid says Tony of Brentford could be another option. James says Brentford ain't letting Tony go. Well, no, they won't want him to go, will he? And rightly so. He's a focal point for them, and they'd want a lot of money for him, wouldn't he? But you never know. Players leave football clubs all the time. Brentford got offered 40 million for him. They might go, you know what, that's decent business. We've got our eye on the next one. That's what they do.
That's their model.
Keeps them going again. Buy low, sell high.
They're not. I know they're in the Premier League, but they're not a club awash with money. They're not having got a sugar daddy. They're going to stick to their principles, and Tony will become available. It just depends where he thinks he can go.
Toffee Chaz says, I recently returned to grassroots after being in academy football for 5 years. I played for Rochdale, but I live in Merseyside. My dad was very dedicated. Yeah, mate, mine was taking me everywhere. Anyway, I mean, still does, to be fair, if I need to. Anyway, the difference is abuse towards the referees, respect, and all that was unbelievable in them other places. Here, it's just
maybe
not,
it's just there, mate.
It's
maybe we're just horrible people. Yeah, Sunday League in Liverpool and Saturday League is unforgiving.
But we always, I think there's a thing, isn't there, with us that we're always like hard done to, and that's what there is, isn't it?
I know,
and everyone does it.
Yeah,
and
it is.
And if it's at the match, or it's when you're playing, or it's whatever, that's what happens. It's always like you're doing it against us, you know. But a lot of that starts with inconsistency, though. If there's consistency, you get on with it. But if it's inconsistent, then I think you are right to challenge it, but not in an aggressive, especially with lads who are just without the referee, you can't play. So it's kind of crucial to the game. So people do have to realise that.
But this is why I think parents shouldn't be there, because I think the problem is, and this is what I've said before, is the authority in kids' lives are their parents. Get that. And if you've got a fella standing you've got your mum and dad standing on the sideline, and they're starting the stuff. The kid is going to follow the parents.
Of course.
Do you know what I mean? Kids don't go to school with their parents, do they? They go to school, and their parents go to work, and they're just left, and they learn. And I think it should be the same in football. I think the parents should just drop them off, watch behind the window if they want. But they shouldn't be there, and because the kids will look, and if a kid's mum or dad has to go with the ref, then the kid is just going to follow suit, because they're the authority in their lives. They're never going to go, oh yeah, I respect that, and my mum's a dope or my dad's a dope. But that's just never going to happen. So I know it sounds harsh, but I think we're at a tipping point.
Well, the thing is, it might sound harsh, but at the end of the day, you've got to speak to the parents, haven't you? And it should be like examples made of. Really.
And also, parents are going to be intimidating to kids who are refereeing, whether they be 15, 16, 17.
Of course, yeah. So no, listen, You're not wrong. But I seen it. In our game the other week, there was a tackle. And it was a slide tackle. You don't really see them on of our lads. Right out of character, but done a slide that caught the lad in their line. The referee just went and sent him off.
No, I know.
And he went.
Yeah, that's good.
And we were like, listen, and their line come over at the end. I'm like, really sorry about that, because the league he's in is all right, and everyone does try to be respectful as much as they can. But I know other leagues where shut up, other leagues.
You've given me two examples.
It's really bad. It's really bad where kids at the line at they're kids.
That should not.
And the screaming, you're just like, oh my god,
Shouldn't. No, and I'm not. By the way, I'm talking like while they're like 7, 8, 9, and 10. So they get. I just don't believe they should be any better.
No,
so they learn that respect over those years, so that when they get to like 11 aside and stuff, that respect is already ingrained in them.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't speak to your teachers like that, would you? You wouldn't, because you just get expelled, and that's the end of it.
No, it is mad. It is mad. The Blues said that guns get pulled out on Sunday league. Yeah, that's always happened. That happened when we played
big swords
years ago. All sorts over a game of footy. That doesn't actually mean a thing, does it? Really, it's a Sunday league game. It means absolutely nothing. You're playing in a competition you want to do well in, but it's not someone's livelihood or life or death, is it?
Work in the morning.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? I want to work tomorrow, and I'm limping everywhere. Right, make sure you hit that like button, get that over 100. Shocking return from the amount of people watching. There you go. And Toffee TV Premier members, thank you. As always, for phoning in, making it, two more comments from Premiers. Sporting parents can be awful. See more than one instance of hockey dads squaring up in the stands. And Toffee Chaz says academy football was also very unforgiving, leading me to lose confidence, and I went off track. I've now returned to grassroots and been offered trials at loads of places.
Right.
Good lad, Toffee Chaz. Keep going, mate. Look at Ezzy Saturday against us, really good. I think 6 clubs said he wasn't good enough. Got to keep going. Don't lose sight of what your goal is, how to improve, eat the right thing, all of that. You can always get better every day. I should have really practiced what I'm preaching now, but there you go. Do it if it's your dream. Keep going. Don't let anyone tell you any different. Right, take it easy.
Match preview is on Toffee TV Premier right now. If you want to go and watch that, thanks for watching. We'll see you later.
Bye.